we've been kind of building this trend of higher lows as we've been riding higher. So again, that's going to run right into this 20-day moving average at 53.70. So any pullback potentially is going to work off this overbought condition, and that's going to be really the key here for relative strength. Work off that overbought condition, look for where markets start to try to find the bottom, which should be around 53.70 right now. Here's what you need to know before the bell this morning. Markets did sell off just a smidge yesterday. Again, markets down just a bit. We've had this very, very strong rally, ran right in, close to the 200-day moving average. Sold off a bit there. Markets look to open down a bit this morning as well, about another 0.5% or so this morning. We'll see how the markets kind of play out. This morning, Palantir announced earnings last night. Actually, decent earnings. Outlook for AI really strong. The expectation for what's going to be happening, going forward with AI was very strong. The stock's still going to be down about 8% today out of the gate this morning, just because even though they beat earnings and met guidance, forward outlook was good. The stock was just trading at an all-time high. So again, a bit of a pullback there, not surprising. And it's a bit more of a high beta stock. So an 8% decline is pretty normal for that stock. But overall, the market's going to be weak across the board. Diamondback Energy just announced that they say, hey, we're back. And this is something I've not heard since 2008. We're back to peak oil production, according to Diamondback Energy. They're one of the giants in the shale production space. They just announced, had a big headline out talking about peak oil production here in the U.S. And again, this is kind of this amidst this backdrop of very low oil prices. So that suggests that oil prices, if we have reached a peak production in oil in the U.S., that certainly is going to, augur for higher oil prices in the future. But right now, because of where oil prices are, they are now at a below break-even profit. So new wells that have gotten dug recently are not profitable at these levels. So again, this is going to be kind of a challenge for the whole drill, baby, drill narrative for getting more oil production in the U.S. As low oil prices is not conducive to more drilling. So we'll see how that works out. But back to the markets here real quick. Look for a pullback here. We're not out of the woods just yet. We're still sitting on top of this death cross between the 50 and the 200-day moving average. We did get back above the 50 here. So initial support's going to be 55.50 on the S&P 500. Just below that is going to be the 20-day moving average, which is now starting to slope higher. So that's actually good news on the 20-day moving average, and that gives you support right around 53.70. So somewhere in that range, market's likely going to find some buyers. And as we've talked about before, we've been kind of building this trend of higher lows as we've been riding higher. So again, that's going to run right into this 20-day moving average at 53.70. So again, any pullback potentially is going to work off this overbought condition, and that's going to be really the key here for relative strength. Work off that overbought condition, look for where markets start to try to find the bottom, which should be around 53.70 right now. That's going to change on a daily basis here as markets start to pull back. But again, if we break below that, and then we're going to start looking to challenge these lower levels right around, kind of 51.80-ish at those previous lows. So there is some downside support from here. But again, we've had a very strong rally, so take some profits, rebalance risk, do what you need to do in your portfolio, raise a little bit of cash here. We're going to be in a bit of a slog here for a while as we work through this correction process. But again, this is just one of those things that, we had two very, very strong years last year. This kind of, correctional process that we're in right now is not uncommon. It's nothing to really worry about other than we're just going through a correction consolidation process. So we just got to navigate that for right now until we get to the other side of this. And we will, but it'll probably be later this summer before this process is completely over with. So just be aware we've got some work to do between now and then, particularly with kind of the backdrop of slowing economic growth and, of course, the risk of, higher interest rates combined with this whole tariff issue that's going on. So, again, a lot of stuff to navigate here. All right, that's what you need to know before the bell this morning.